Hello! I'm Kaden and welcome to Sun-Powered Tarot. This is my first YouTube video. I'm really excited to be here. I wanted to start a channel for a while and I could never really figure out how to best do an intro or how to get started. I had this whole list of ideas, but it was well, what's gonna be the first one? And eventually I was watching all these 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 tarot attacks that people were doing, and they're all so much fun. And then it kind of clicked and I was like, wait a second, I can do that. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. I think the questions work really well for just kind of a general, I can use them as to kind of show you how I practice, how I got here, what I've been doing. So yeah, this is a tag by Kelly Bear. I'll link her channel below. But yeah, let's just get right into it. So today we're going to go through 5 decks, 4 books, 3 spreads, 2 habits or paraphernalia, and then the last one is 1 piece of advice or a card you wish to embody and why. So we'll go ahead and jump right in, starting off with the 5 decks. And I'm going to start off with the first tarot deck I ever got, and that is this. It's a deck in air quotes. This is the RWS, the old public domain art that you can get online, printed out on office supply store cardstock. When I was first interested in tarot, I didn't really have a way to get a deck or anything, so I just got this because I had a printer. And it's literally just the RWS art on really weird cardstock. It held up surprisingly well. I could shuffle it pretty nicely. It's a good size for my hands. Because I printed it out and cut it and made it tiny. But yeah, this was my first tarot deck because I wanted to learn. And this is what I use. And it held up surprisingly well. And, I didn't use this every single day. I used it off and on as my interest in tarot kind of grew and went away in cycles and all of that. But this is what I used for 3 years. And I haven't gotten rid of it, mostly out of sentimental value, I guess, but it's not really it's bent in the middle. Keep it together with the hair tie. This deck, it served its purpose, but eventually I was ready to move on to an actual tarot deck. And so that's my second deck that I'm going to show today. When I was looking for a tarot deck, I wasn't on TarotTube, I wasn't on Instagram, random corners of the internet, really, and I was like, okay, if I'm gonna get a deck, this has to be, my one and only deck. I only need one deck, this is what I'm getting. It has to be absolutely perfect. And so, after a while of looking and deciding and thinking about it, I got the Spacious Tarot. This is the 2nd edition. I pre-ordered it, so I got it right when it came out, which was August of 2020, somewhere around then. So this deck was my one and only purchase. I really like it. The box, really nice. The guidebook is nice and sweet. The backs look good. And it's just a deck that I really like. I opted for this one because I wanted something with no people for gender reasons. I really like the nature kind of aspect of this deck. A lot of the cards have been renamed, so there's not really instead of Queen and King, you have the different names. So the Explorer of Cups, this is the Knight of Cups. The Guardian of Cups, this is the Queen. You have Elder instead of King. This is the High Priestess. So not all of them are renamed, but several of them are. Mostly the Courts. And the Hanged one, too, notably, is renamed. But this deck has served me well for several years. I really like it. When I first got it, I was just sitting through, going at, and oh, look at this Child of Pentacles, it's so cute. 9 of Swords, very fitting. The Elder cards are also very good. But this was my first ever actual tarot deck that I got. And so I was using this for a while, and I said, okay, this is awesome. This is my one and only tarot deck. And then I was like, okay, Spacious Tarot, really cool, but it's not like an RWS. It's RWS based, but it doesn't have like the classic RWS art. So like when I found myself, I wanted to look at the RWS art and study it, look at the symbols. I had this, which, you know, wasn't great. So I ended up with the Modern Witch Tarot. My partner actually got me this, which is very nice of them. And they looked at it first before I did, and they were like, wow, the cardstock is really thick. And I looked at it and I was like, wow, you're right. So, you know, this deck is notoriously impossible to shuffle, which is unfortunate because I really do like it. It's an RWS clone, I guess, in the sense that it follows the art, follows Pamela Coleman Smith's art very closely. The cardstock is real thick and real glossy, but it's nice, even if I have trouble shuffling it. So I really do like this deck. It's nice. It gave me something to look at when I wanted to look at something that was a bit closer to the Pamela Coleman Smith's art and the RWS and all of the symbolism and stuff that goes with that. But this is just, well, it's a little bit more modern. So I had this deck, and I had my Spacious Tarot, and I was enjoying things. And after a while, I was like, okay, this is nice, I'm having a good time, I'm enjoying tarot. And I came across the Inkwitch Tarot deck. I first learned about this deck from Benebell's blog. I follow her blog, she does lots of cool stuff, including some deck reviews. So I saw this deck, and I thought about it for a really long time. These backs are gorgeous. So the Inkwitch Tarot, I eventually decided to get it because it's different to anything that I had. You know, it's vaguely RWS, like it's within the tradition of RWS, but it has its own take on a lot of the cards. I really like the art style, I really like the colors. This deck was gorgeous and it was something different. And if I ever find the Lover's card in here, it's a queer deck, which is awesome. But this deck is gorgeous. I mean, just the colors, it's very good. Yeah, here we go. Here's the Lovers. The artist does sell like an expansion pack that comes with multiple versions of the Lovers and multiple versions of the Devil, a couple other different cards. And I've been thinking about getting that for a very long time. But recently, he announced a Kickstarter for like the second edition of this deck that comes with all of those. It's slightly, some of the cards are redrawn, some of them are replaced. I probably won't get that because I already have this one, but I have thought about it. But that's the Inkwitch Tarot. So that is my number 4 deck that I'm showing today. And at this point in like learning tarot, my practice, I was doing lots of daily draws and just generally kind of exploring the cards, seeing what was there. The next deck that I got was a gift. And this is just the good old yellow box RWS. I wasn't really expecting this. Like, I had the Modern Witch and I was good to go. But honestly, I'm not a huge fan of the plaid backs, but it is nice to just have the original Pamela Coleman Smith art to look at, to study. I used this as a study deck for quite a bit, just to kind of really get into like, okay, what's going on in here? And kind of get used to it, so it's good to have a copy of this. I don't pull it out as much as I pull out some of my other, like, nicer decks, like nicer's not the right word, but, you know, fun, I guess. But, yeah, this is just the RWS. You've seen it. But that is my 5th tarot deck. There were 2 decks that I bought this year, but my limit is 5 for this deck, so that's where I'm going to stop. The next question for this tag is 4 books. So once again, I'm going to kind of go at this from the angle of, like, 4 books that kind of map my tarot practice as it's grown and changed and evolved. So the first one is, I'm going to cheat a little bit here and say a series, but my first book is the Raven Cycle series. I have all of them, so I'm just going to spread them all out here so you can look at the lovely paperback art. But I picked these books because the Raven Cycle series was my first ever kind of, like, exposure to tarot. If you haven't read these books, they're about teenagers hunting for a dead Welsh king, and really so much more than that, but that's the initial premise. And one of the characters lives in a house full of psychics, and they read tarot. And it's really fun. And there's this one scene that sticks out to me. It's towards the end of the series, so I don't remember which book it's in, either the 3rd or the 4th. But all the women in the house get their tarot decks, and they lay them out on the floor, and they do a spread with each of them using every single card on their deck to kind of, like, see what's going to happen. And they make really vague things like, oh yeah, this is going to happen. So, like, they know what's going on. The reader doesn't know what's going on. But that scene stuck in my mind, and I always just felt really cool. And it wasn't, like, a very direct thing. I don't remember, like, specifically what exactly got me into tarot, but these books were definitely a big influence. One of my favorite series ever. Read it in high school. It's amazing. So that's the Raven Cycle series. The next book in my progression of learning tarot is one that I don't have a copy of to show you, because I didn't initially go through it as a book, but learntarot.com was really the place that I learned how to read tarot. And there's a book version that I don't have yet. It's on my list to get someday. But it's the book Learning the Tarot by Joan Bunning. And there's a website where you can get a lot of that, most of it I think, if not all of it. It's just free online for people to learn, which is really cool. There's kind of a course part, and then there's card meanings and reference charts, and all kinds of good stuff. I think I found this just by, like, doing a search on the internet for how to learn tarot, and there you go, learntarot.com. So that's my second book. My third book that I'm going to show today is Kitchen Table Tarot by Melissa Cynova. This is the first, like, actual tarot book that I got. It's really great. I can't remember how I came across Melissa Cynova and her work, but it was probably through Raven Cycle, because look, there's a review from Maggie Stiefvater on the top, which is really cool. So, Kitchen Table Tarot, it's fun, it's fast, it's just a nice introduction to tarot. There's a section of card meanings in the back, but there's a lot of good, just kind of general, like, getting started. It's fun, it's friendly, really great book. And I have my sloth bookmark. What do I have bookmarked? Okay, here you go. I had her Celtic cross-reference page bookmarked. But that's Kitchen Table Tarot. And then the last book that I'm showing off today is the most recent one that I've gotten. Holistic Tarot. You've probably seen this book around. It's fantastic. It's huge. I think either in the book or on her website, Benebell refers to Holistic Tarot. It's like a textbook for, like, a grad course on tarot, which I think is awesome. And it's exactly what I wanted. I looked at this book for so long and I was like, okay, I just finally have to get it. There's so much good stuff in here. Let me find the table of contents. Yeah, here you go. Just look at this. Holistic Tarot is fantastic. There's a lot of really good information in here. And what I love is that on her website, Benebell has, like, lesson plans and stuff for if you want to go through, like, okay, I'm a beginner. Here are the chapters to go to. Here are, like, some exercises and things you can do in practice. I think she has 3 different versions for different levels of tarot. I have bookmarks in here. Using a random Pokemon card as a bookmark. Yeah, here you go. The Setting of a Tarot Reading and Energetic Supplements. Like, there's so much good stuff in here. I have not been through a lot of this, but the parts that I've been through so far, as I'm just very slowly progressing, have been fantastic. I have learned a lot from Benebell, and there's just so much in here. It's so good. And with that, that is the 4 books. So now we're going to jump into the three spreads. So let me grab a deck. I got the Anklet because that's what I feel like doing today. So the first spread that I want to show is what I've been doing as my daily reading for a while. It's super simple. I just pull 2 cards. The first one is something to let go of, and the next one is something to embrace for the day. Okay, so for this sample, I got the 5 of Wands to let go of and the Sun to embrace. So it's just a very quick reading, like today is a day to let go of fighting battles that I don't really need to fight, being too passionate about things that maybe don't matter as much, and embrace, just focus on the joy, think about the good things. But yeah, it's fun to just kind of see, like, you know, what are the differences. Working with 2 cards just gives you a little bit more to play with than just a single card daily reading. So that's my first spread. The next spread that I want to talk about is one that I'm kind of in the process of learning. I want to practice a little bit more, and that's the Wirth cross. I first learned about this from a video that Benebell did. And I kind of like did a practice spread, and I thought it was really cool. So I wrote it down in my notebook to practice, and well, I'll show it off. The Wirth cross is originally intended to be used with just the major arcana. I'm gonna do it with all the cards because I get to. So the first card, see if I can lay all these out here, represents favorable conditions. The second one is matters in opposition. The third card is the judgment of the situation. The fourth card is the most probable outcome. And then the 5th card right in the middle is kind of like the thesis of the reading, a summary, a synthesis of everything put together. Okay. Well, I can't really get everything to quite fit, but the Wirth cross. It's kind of, you can really get a lot out of a Celtic cross because you have 10 cards and they're all working together, but sometimes you just want something a little bit simpler. So I like this version. I think there's a couple different variations of just like a cross spread, so I want to practice with them and see how they work. But that's the Wirth cross. And the next spread that I want to show off is just kind of one that I came up with. I'm sure it's not like the most original, but I just thought it would be a good way to try things out, see how it would go making my own spreads. I've referred to this in my little notebook as the potion spread, because the shape kind of looks like a little potion bottle. The first card, up at the top, is kind of a representation of whatever your problem is, whatever kind of question you're asking, a centering piece of the spread, and you could draw it, or you could just pick it out, look through the deck, decide what you think would be a good centerpiece, maybe a significator if you work with those, and then you just picked 4 cards, and see, I won't be able to fit everything here. But 4 cards all kind of working together within the potion. It's kind of not quite an open reading, but it's not a super duper structured spread. Just a way to kind of look at these cards, how they work together. So like here we have 2 10s from the Wands and the Swords. We have the Page of Cups, the Knight of Pentacles here. And I just kind of read this as like, okay, how are all these different elements working together? We have every single suit and a major, which is interesting. Lots of high numbered cards. So just kind of things like that, seeing how it all works together. But with that, that is the 3 spreads that I want to talk about today. So the next part of the tag is 2 habits or paraphernalia. I kind of talked about my daily draw habit a little bit earlier, so I'm just going to show off some paraphernalia. And the first thing is my tarot journal. This is a traveler's notebook that I've been using. I put this together this summer after I kind of ran out of pages in my last tarot journal. I really like the traveler's notebook for this a lot. I've wanted a traveler's notebook for a while before I got this, and I was always like, oh, it's such kind of an awkward size, or like a unique size. If I got this, I would have to like keep buying their inserts, and I don't want to keep doing that. But after a while, I kind of realized, oh, wait a second, I do bookbinding. I can just make my own. So that's what I did. And if you look, you can tell which is the one that came with the notebook and which are the ones that I've made. But like, this is my tarot journal. I won't get super in-depth into it right now because this is just a quick little tag. But I like having different little sections for each thing, so I can swap them in and out, because like my daily readings little book will be swapped out the most as I fill it up. I have a section for basically every other kind of reading that's not just a quick daily one. A reference section for like writing down spreads and any other stuff that I want to remember. And then a practice development section, which is just kind of like a catch-all. Any other stuff, like if I'm reading a tarot book and I want to take some notes, that goes in here. So all that kind of stuff. I like the Traveler's Notebook because it looks kind of like fun and scholarly. Makes me think of the notebook that Gansey has in the Raven Cycle. But that is my Traveler's Notebook. The next piece of tarot paraphernalia that I want to talk about is this. This is my little crochet tarot spread cloth thingy. This is kind of a recent addition to my practice. I've shifted my morning routine around a little bit. So I do my daily draws like at my desk now instead of like on the floor on a yoga mat, which is honestly probably much better for my posture. But I was kind of like, the cards slide around on my desk a little bit. It doesn't feel, I don't know, I wanted something a little special. So I made this. It's just a big block of single crochet. It's not particularly fancy. But it turned out kind of nice. I kind of like it. It's got a nice texture to it. Cards look nice laid out on it. I've been using it as background for the video. So I kind of like the idea of like making different ones in different colors and stuff for as the seasons change. So might do that, but the dark purple feels very nice and wintry right now, so I'm happy with this. And then the last question is one piece of advice or a card you wish to embody and why. And I'm going to go with a piece of advice here. I've been learning tarot. It's been several years now. Not always. In the past, it's been more of an off and on kind of thing. I'd get really interested in it. I'd do a bunch of stuff and then I'd go, yeah, I don't want to keep doing this as much anymore. It would come and go, but I've really been into it lately. I've found my way to TarotTube, I think also from Benebell's blog. I've learned a lot from her, but I don't know, I think TarotTube is really cool. And I think, even beginners could have advice to give, right? The beginner's mind, all of that. But here's my, piece of advice that kind of leads into, like, the goals of my channel, right? With my first YouTube video here. I kind of want my channel to be about, like, exploring new things, practicing, learning, all that good stuff. So my piece of advice is don't be afraid to question your beliefs and try new things and maybe kind of evaluate why you think a certain way. My goals with this channel are to kind of ask myself, like, why do I do it like this? Why do I believe something? Where do those beliefs come from? Why is my tarot practice work a certain way? I don't know, and I'm just practicing, I'm experimenting. Those are all valid answers. So I want my channel to be all about just experimenting, seeing what works. We're all learning forever here. There's so much to learn from tarot, and it's just fun. So that's what I'm all about over here at Sunpower Tarot. Kind of another reason that I started this channel, I want to practice like turning my thoughts into words, getting a little bit better at explaining things, putting words in the right order to kind of get across what I'm trying to say. Because with tarot and like the spirituality kind of stuff in general, for me it's really easy to just kind of like stay in my head and keep really vague concepts and everything's just kind of floaty. So I figure if I have myself talk about it and write it down, I can solidify some concepts, get deeper into my practice, all of that good stuff. So that's what I'm here to do. And also, just kind of chat with people in the community. When I first started watching TarotTube videos, it was like I'd watch a video and then they'd mention somebody, so I'd check out their channel, and then they'd mention somebody, so I'd check out their channel, and it just kept going. And I thought that was really cool. It kind of reminds me of like older YouTube where, I don't know, it feels very conversational here on TarotTube, and I think that's really cool. I like VRs. It's like we're all virtual pen pals. I'm not really on social media, so the kind of like slower paced VR kind of style thing we have going on here on TarotTube, I think that's really cool. But that was kind of a long-winded, wavy explanation. But yeah, my piece of advice for any things, don't be afraid. Even if your practice is working really well for you, maybe sometimes you just need to throw something in there, see what happens. But yeah, that's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 Tarot. Thank you, Kelly Bear, for this awesome tag. This is really cool. And it's just been a really good way to just kind of do an intro for my channel. So I hope to see you all around. Have a good new moon. I'm going to try to upload around the new moon just because I think that's fun. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye!